Good afternoon. It is set to be a busy weekend in the city with a number of sporting events and people celebrating Mother's Day.
Those heading into and out of Toronto will also have a major road closure to contend with, as the Don Valley Parkway will be closed all weekend for maintenance. CTV Sean Leathong has been speaking with residents about the situation. He joins us live now with more. Sean, we've been through these before, and it certainly makes for a travel nightmare.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, the Gardiner Expressway was closed. Now the Don Valley Parkway. We can see things are moving pretty slowly right now. They're not going to be moving at all after 11 o'clock tonight. The closure will be from the 401 all the way down to the Jarvis Street exit for critical work that needs to be done ahead of events like the FIFA World Cup. But there's lots of events that are going to happen this weekend. Of course, we do know the Blue Jays are back in town. They'll be playing at home all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We know Toronto FC tomorrow are playing against Inter Miami, and that's Lionel Messi joining them there, so it should be a big crowd. We know Mother's Day is on Sunday, and yeah, tonight the Toronto Tempo are having their inaugural game, so there's plenty of events happening downtown. There's one big way not to get downtown, so people have to take the 401, go through the city, or take transit. We talked to a few drivers today about how they feel. Here's what they had to say.
I might leave the city probably early Saturday morning just to get out of the rush.
It's a nightmare. I mean, it's just too hard to get anywhere. Everything's really slow. You really have to change your plans and try to avoid downtown whenever these closures happen.
I would expect a little bit more information as to when the closures happen and how long they're going to take.
I don't go downtown, rarely, but I'm going there today, but on the weekend now. I'll take the transit, like the TTC for downtown.
So you have been warned. There will be another closure. The closure ends at 5 a.m. on Monday because, like I said, they do have to prepare for future events. But if you do have tickets for any of the large events downtown this weekend, please consider transit or pack your patience, leave early, because this major artery will be closed. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, good reminder. Thank you, Sean. And as Sean mentioned, the soccer match at BMO Field tomorrow. Metrolinx is adding extra GO train trips on the Lakeshore West line to help attendees get to and from the event. You can check the special match day schedule at gotransit.com.
Mayor Olivia Chow says officials will keep a close eye on how transit service performs this weekend, so any necessary adjustments can be made before Canada's first World Cup match.
We are expecting over 2 million more TTC trips than usual throughout the World Cup, and we will have the service to match. Extra subway services, extended hours, and staged trains ready to take fans home on match days. More frequent streetcars on Bathurst, King, and the Harbourfront, including new overnight service on Bathurst and Harbourfront in case you're partying longer.
The TTC will be carrying out more rapid TO road painting on Bathurst overnight. Streetcars will divert to Spadina Station as the city designates more transit priority lanes south of Bloor. The mayor says those lanes have helped speed up commutes and will have even more of an impact during the World Cup, along with signal priority changes. The TTC CEO says the agency is ready.
We've analysed the routes. We know the top 20 junctions where we would require the police, where we require traffic agents to ensure that route is seamless. So that's all been built in. So we're looking and working through all this diligent planning to ensure the customer experience is such that it matches this city for this iconic sport in this iconic city.
As crews carry out infrastructure upgrades ahead of the World Cup, take note, there will not be service on Line 2 between Kipling and Jane stations from 11 p.m. tonight until 8 a.m. Sunday. Shuttle buses will run. Well, the Toronto Tempo are set to make Canadian basketball history tonight.
The team will tip off with the Washington Mystics tonight in the first ever regular season game for the team. CTV Jessica Smith joins us live from Coca-Cola Coliseum with more. Jess.
Well, Nathan, Michelle, today is the day, almost 2 years to the day we are finally getting the Toronto Tempo, the first WNBA team here in Canada, here in the city of Toronto, kicking off all the events tonight with their home opener against the Washington Mystics. Now, it all began today with a flag raising over at City Hall. Team President Teresa Resch joined Mayor Chow to help raise that Toronto Tempo flag to get the excitement going. And then it was time to hit the court. We had a lot of the players down there for a shoot-around getting into the zone ahead of the game tonight here at Coca-Cola Coliseum. Head coach Lenny Brondello has been talking since training camp, even before then, about building the team's culture and connection on and off the court, and about having that open line of communication. And a fun fact, the CN Tower will be lit up in Tempo colors this evening to help kind of spark all of that excitement. A few of the players and team president Teresa Resch spoke to media about how they're feeling ahead of the inaugural home opener tonight. Let's take a listen.
Just getting out there with the team. I mean, we've been putting a ton of work in over these past 2 weeks. So for just us to have an opportunity to go out there, get better, grow in every way that we can, and obviously tonight we'll be sure that teammates too will be nice. The first friendly game, I wasn't playing, but I was kind of surprised because we lost the game and they were still like cheering for us, and it was like they were happy at the end of the game. So that's nice. I don't feel. I think we're not used to that. So. No expectations, just, I'm just happy that it's going to be sold out, that, like, everybody would be ready to be there for us, but, like, I don't think we have any expectations. I just know that it's a big thing over here. Like, tonight will be a big thing, so, we also want to enjoy that moment and share the emotions that we're going to have on the court with them.
I've been visualizing this since the day we got the team.
Yeah, fair.
Right? So it's been almost 2 years to the day that we were awarded the franchise. Since then, we got a name, we got players. We're ready to go tonight. It's very much going to be historic. And like you said, it's not even filling a gap. It's creating an entire new category of entertainment in this city and in this country that people are going to fall in love with.
And everyone is so excited. I want to bring in Don Boyle really quickly. You are the CEO of the Exhibition Place grounds, where the Coca-Cola Coliseum is, where the Toronto Tempo are going to be making history. How great is this for women in sports and for the X grounds?
Well, it's incredible. Now that we have 3 professional teams here, but getting the Tempo here on the grounds was amazing because we had to try to fit them in here at Exhibition Place. Coca-Cola is an arena built in 1921, and so between the Royal Winter Fair, MLSC with the Marlies and all that, we had to actually create space. Everybody had to give up a little bit of space to create the dress rooms and all the back of house, but everybody wanted to because they wanted to see this be a success. And Larry Tannenbaum and Teresa have done an incredible job. So being a partner of them is super exciting for Exhibition Place.
Well, teamwork makes the dream work. We all know that when it comes to working together. And the grounds, you said you have 21 tenants. We were speaking before we came on camera that are all a part of this. And you have one more now. We've got the Tempo here. How does this make you feel to be able to welcome in this history-making team?
It adds to our events. We already do over 2,100 events a year and draw 6 million people. This is just that much more. And it really pulls everybody together to participate in it. We have the AFC now, the Toronto women's soccer team playing now at a BMO. And so bringing it all together, culmination of Exhibition Place. It's a family of venues, and it's really our gateway for the community.
It is so exciting. Well, Don, thank you so much. It is history-making tonight. They're taking on the Washington Mystics here at Coca-Cola Coliseum at 7:30 p.m., and it is going to be electric. Reporting live, I'm Jessica Smith. Nathan, I'll send things back to you.
All right. Can't wait. Thank you, Jess. We have more news in a moment, but first a look at the forecast. There's a live shot of the city. A few clouds, but mainly sunny. Things are looking pretty good on this Friday. Lindsay Morrison has a look at the current conditions, and hopefully this trend continues right through to Mother's Day.
Yeah, you know what, Nathan, it's looking pretty good, maybe with an exception on Saturday, which I will get to in just a moment. But let's begin celebrating the sunshine today. The cloud cover moved out this morning, and we are enjoying some very pleasant weather conditions through the day today. Moving now into the early part of the afternoon, we are in the double digits. It's 10 degrees this hour at Pearson, and we're expecting that many communities are going to climb into the teens this afternoon. Winds out of the south, not particularly strong, but nice looking afternoon. We'll eventually switch to more of a westerly wind. So it's looking good for today. It's looking pretty good for Mother's Day, but we are tracking a broken line of thunderstorms that could end up impacting your Saturday afternoon or early evening. We'll take a detailed look at your weekend weather forecast coming up. But for now, Nathan and Michelle, back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Police are investigating a suspected hate-motivated incident outside a North York synagogue.
They say 3 people were shot at with a pellet gun while standing outside the building last night. CTV's Janice Golding has been following this investigation. She joins us live now with the latest. Janice.
And Michelle, well, you can imagine people are quite upset in the area. Police are investigating a hate-motivated crime, a suspected hate-motivated crime here at a synagogue in the Bathurst and Wilson area. Now, we are told that this occurred at around 10:30 last night when evening prayers were ending at the congregation Hasidei Bobov. Witnesses say a group of people were outside chatting when a car pulled up and someone rolled down a window and discharged a pellet gun. One person was struck and suffered minor injuries. He was not transported to hospital. Meanwhile, police say there was a similar incident on April the 30th, a few blocks south at Bathurst and Lawrence. A suspect in a car discharged a replica firearm in this case at the victims, who investigators described as, quote, visibly identifiable members of the Jewish community. Police are now trying to determine if the incidents are linked. Here's more from witnesses to last night's shooting.
Friends were standing on Bathurst Street and over here by the entrance, and the car passed by, opened the window, and somebody shoot the BB gun. And it hits one of the members of our synagogue, his arm.
About 15-20 minutes later is when we received another call of a victim's vehicle that was shot at. And this happened while they were driving.
We're seeing a 9.3, 9.4 increase year over year in anti-Semitic incidents. Over 145% increase in the last 3 years. There is a national crisis going on, and it is being ignored.
Now, we are hearing tentatively that a suspect may have been arrested, or after someone snapped a photo of a vehicle and got an image of their license plate. We'll have more on that as it becomes available. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. A man is fighting for his life in hospital following a stabbing late last night. Police called to the area of Albion Road in Islington just before 11:30. They found a man suffering from stab wounds who was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Another man was arrested at the scene. And police are on the hunt for a woman in connection with a stabbing in the area of Queen in Bathurst just before 11 p.m. This incident sent a woman in her 30s to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect is described as being in her mid-30s, standing about 5'9", with light brown hair, missing front teeth, and wearing glasses. She was last seen leaving the area on an eastbound Queen streetcar. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
7 people are facing more than 50 charges in connection with a Halton police investigation into a series of smash and grab robberies. As part of Project Pinnacle, police identified an organized group operating in the GTA. Now, they're saying that this is in connection with another investigation involving a series of smash and grab robberies.
Going to the next story now. Some flames broke out on Browns Line near Horner Avenue just before. Oh, this is the Etobicoke fire. Sorry, apologies. Okay, we want to tell you about the fact that there were no injuries reported following a fire at a commercial building in Etobicoke. Now, flames breaking out at a plaza on Browns Line near Horner Avenue just before 5 a.m. Firefighters were able to enter the building and knock down the flames. The cause is still under investigation.
And one person was sent to hospital after being struck by a taxi downtown. It happened near Dundas and Jarvis around 4:45 this morning. Police say the victim, a person in their 20s, was hit by a vehicle as it was backing up. They ended up trapped under the car, but were eventually freed by Toronto Fire and taken to hospital with injuries. So far, there's no word on whether charges will be laid.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, the latest on the Hantavirus outbreak aboard a Dutch cruise ship. It's set to arrive in the Canary Islands this weekend, with health officials preparing for a major evacuation operation. We will have those details a little later in the newscast.
In fact, we'll have it right now. Health officials in Spain are investigating a suspected new case of the virus involving a woman who was not on the cruise ship.
De la persona que falleció con Hantavirus positivo.
Spain's Secretary of State says the woman was a passenger on the same flight as a patient who died after contracting the virus on the ship. She was reportedly sitting 2 rows behind the cruise ship passenger and only had brief contact. The Spanish woman, who's showing symptoms consistent with the hantavirus infection, remains in isolation in a hospital. And the ship is expected to arrive in the Canary Islands, a Spanish territory off Africa's west coast, sometime this weekend. 4 Canadians are still aboard the ship. 3 people have died as a result of the outbreak. 5 others are confirmed to have contracted the virus, with 3 other cases suspected. The ship's operator says all passengers who disembarked during a stop in St. Helena in the South Atlantic on April 24th, including 2 Canadians, have been contacted.
Meanwhile, a military hospital in Madrid has been set up to receive the 14 Spanish passengers aboard the ship. All non-Spanish passengers, if they are still healthy, will be returned to their own countries. CTV's Scott Hurst has been monitoring this developing story. He joins us live now with the latest. Scott, what more can you tell us about the Canadians aboard that ship, as well as those Canadians who were on the ship? They got off earlier. They're back here in Canada, Ontario, and Quebec.
Michelle, let's start by recapping the impact so far on Canadians and what's being done to monitor those Canadians back here on home soil, so that we do know there are 4 Canadians still on board that ship on its way to the Canary Islands, expected to arrive at that port on Sunday. There are 2 Canadians, 2 Ontario residents who are now back here in Ontario, who were on the ship but got off the cruise before the deadly outbreak was detected. And here's what we know about those 2 individuals. They're from the same household in the Grey Bruce region in southwestern, midwestern Ontario. They arrived back in late April and will be observed for 45 days. Ontario is not expecting any more people from that ship. Those 2 people from Ontario remain asymptomatic. Now, there's a 3rd Canadian being monitored from Quebec. That person, not a passenger of the cruise ship, rather on the same flight as a passenger with hantavirus. Quebec's health minister has stated it does not appear they were in close proximity to that passenger, so the risk of transmission is likely low. However, that person is in isolation in Quebec. We've also heard from Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand on the 4 Canadians who remain on board. They're showing no symptoms at this time either, and consular officials are on their way to help those Canadians when they disembark and help them on their way back to Canada, Michelle.
Meanwhile, efforts to contain the hantavirus outbreak. What is the latest on the investigation as officials try to track how it happened and where it could be heading?
With the worldwide nature of this incident and the more it is spread, you can understand that this is turning into a massive multi-jurisdictional investigation and also operation to continue to monitor and track the passengers. As we do know, health authorities across 4 continents are now tracking and monitoring many of those passengers who got off before the outbreak was detected, and just shy of 150 passengers, of course, still on board who need to disembark, and there's a whole process set up for that as well. We are learning Argentinian investigators suspect that a Dutch couple may have contracted the virus while on a bird watching trip before they boarded the cruise ship. Now, none of the remaining passengers at this time or crew on the ship are currently symptomatic, and as we mentioned, on the way to the Canary Islands, expected to be in that port by early Sunday morning, and that is when the whole process will then begin to get underway to get all those passengers off, ensure that they are continued to be monitored and that they continue to be checked. But as we've been hearing, that this long incubation period can continue to complicate that process, Michelle.
CTV's Scott Hurst live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
The U.S. ambassador to Canada was slated to speak in Ottawa today, but Pete Hoekstra had to cancel about an hour before his scheduled appearance after being called to Washington. Hoekstra was scheduled to participate in a fireside chat at the conservative Canada Strong and Free Network conference, but organizers say the ambassador was summoned to D.C. for urgent meetings. The U.S. Embassy says he has important meetings with senior officials at the White House. It would not say whether those meetings were related to CUSMA negotiations.
CTV News has confirmed the Liberal government will table legislation soon aimed at speeding up the regulatory approval process for major energy and infrastructure projects. The reforms expected to apply more widely than the existing major projects law, Bill C-5, which was passed last June. The legislation enabled the government to fast-track approvals for projects deemed to be in the national interest.
Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith in Ottawa this morning.
Welcome back. Thank you for making the time. We've been meeting and talking over the course of the past year, and I have to say I'm very pleased with the progress we've been making.
We've had some really constructive conversations over the last number of months since the MOU. Still have a few things to work out, and I hope that we can get to the finish line on signing that MOU. I know industry is getting a bit impatient. Albertans are getting a little bit impatient.
Progress on a push to build a pipeline to the West Coast was on the agenda, as was the potential for Alberta to move forward with its referendum vote. And CTV's Jeremy Sharon joins us now live from Ottawa with more on this meeting. We heard briefly from both Smith and Carney this morning. What stood out to you?
Well, look, Nathan, I think given everything you just touched on and what we heard briefly from the Premier Smith, in that brief photo op, what stood out to me, and I think what was on the line in today's meeting, is what happens between Ottawa and Alberta in that MOU. I think that this was actually quite an important meeting in many ways. You heard from the Premier there in again, just a brief photo op. She took the time to mention and highlight the fact she is hopeful that this MOU can be moved across the finish line in the coming days, and mention pressure from industry and frustration from Albertans. There are aspects of that MOU that were meant to be agreed upon or established by April 1st. Some of those things have been checked off the list, others have not. And so the Premier pretty clearly outlining in the brief opportunity she had in front of the cameras that she would like to see progress here. And so presumably this was an important meeting that likely focused quite a bit on pipelines and on the existing MOU and how the federal government can work with the Alberta government to push this along as fast as possible. Of course, there'll have to be involvement from a private proponent as well in terms of the pipeline to the West Coast. But it's pretty clear Alberta is serious about this, and the Premier wants to see progress. She's facing pressure from from her province, but also from industry that was outspoken earlier this week on the lack of progress that has been made. So clearly that was a focus. And then the other big thing, Nathan, as you touched on, is Alberta separatism. There is a growing number of support for Alberta separatism. More than 300,000 signatures were handed into Elections Alberta by this Alberta independence group as they push for a referendum vote on this. And so this is likely something that the Prime Minister and the Premier are going to be spending quite a bit of time talking about behind closed doors, and perhaps more publicly at some point if we see a referendum vote on Alberta separation. So a lot of key talking points right now when it comes to the province of Alberta and dealings with the federal government.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Can we expect any agreements on anything out of these meetings?
Yeah, I mean, unlikely, I think that, excuse me, today we see anything significant. No press conference scheduled for the Premier or the Prime Minister on this, which tells me they're not ready to announce anything. They're not ready to say that they have accomplished those things that were meant to be accomplished by April 1st in the MOU. But rather probably an important check-in for the two leaders to establish where they're at and how they're going to get to that finish line, because the Premier pretty clearly outlining she'd like that to happen pretty soon. So I think it's quite unlikely we see anything come out of this tangibly today, but look for something, some kind of update in the coming days when it comes to the agreement, the MOU between Alberta and Ottawa.
All right, CTV's Jeremy Sharon in Ottawa. Thank you. All right, turning to the war in the Middle East, where a shaky ceasefire is facing new challenges as the United Arab Emirates responds to Iranian missile and drone strikes. It comes after the U.S. and Iran exchanged fire in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command says it fired in self-defense after Iranian missiles, drones, and small boats attacked 3 American warships. The ships crossed the waterway without being damaged. The U.S. retaliated against Iranian military facilities.
They were firing at us, and we were firing back at them. And our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked the hell out of them.
Despite this latest incident, U.S. President Donald Trump insists the ceasefire with Iran is still in place and negotiations are ongoing. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Washington is expecting a response today from Iran, but he also issued a warning about the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran now claims that they have a right to control an international waterway. They claim that they have a right to control it. What is the world going to do about that? Is the world going to accept that Iran now controls an international waterway? Because if the world is prepared to accept that, then be ready, because there's like 10 other countries that are going to start doing the same thing in their international waterways.
Rubio is in Rome for the second day of a visit to Italy and the Vatican. He met with Italy's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister following weeks of tension and disagreements over America and Israel's war against Iran.
Bad news for Canada ahead of the World Cup as team captain Alphonso Davies has been injured.
Davies into Kane. Well, he scored.
Davies and Bayern Munich would go on to lose that Champions League semifinal against Paris Saint-Germain, with the Canadian star injuring his hamstring. He's expected to be out for 4 to 5 weeks, which puts his World Cup availability in jeopardy. Canada's first World Cup game is June 12th. This is Davies' third injury since December, when he returned from a lengthy layoff following knee surgery. And with just weeks to go into the World Cup, we still don't know who will start in goal for Canada.
Quebec's Maxime Crepeau missed out on the last tournament in Qatar, but is now making a run for the #1 spot. CTV's chief anchor and senior editor Omar Sachedina caught up with him.
Quebec's Maxime Crepeau is now just weeks away from finding out if he'll have the coveted chance of starting in net for Canada on home soil at the World Cup.
It's rare not to know if you're going to be starting in goalie or not, right? Psychologically, what is that doing to you?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you on the toes, that's for sure. But it gives us the power of pushing ourselves every single day.
That push has paid off on the pitch, with big saves on shots by soccer legends like Lionel Messi.
Lionel Messi is in on goal for Argentina, denied by Crepeau.
And these penalty saves at the 2024 Copa America, where Canada beat Venezuela in the quarterfinal. But he has yet to compete in a World Cup.
Representing a country, there's no greater opportunity and honor. Obviously, when you put the jersey on and you work for 10, 15 years of your career to that moment, there's nothing that comes close to it.
Not even winning the MLS Cup with LAFC. Crepeau broke his leg on this tackle in the final in 2022, knocking him out of contention for the World Cup in Qatar.
It taught me a lot about my character and what I can accomplish. Failure can be there, disappointment can be there, injuries, yes, but it's how you respond to things.
He says his wife, Christina, has been with him every step of the way.
Now this World Cup is around the corner, and it's something very special because since day one, she's been with me, and we've lived through the highs and lows of a professional career.
A career he knows has changed his life and given him a chance to change others through his work at the CF Montreal Charity Foundation, which funds projects and activities for Quebec families and children from vulnerable backgrounds.
How does that feel? You know, you go back and these little kids are looking up to you as you once looked to the greats yourself.
It's important for me we have a responsibility that goes beyond the field, that goes beyond playing games and winning games. And for me, that is very important.
An inspiring message for generations that follow him.
Behind the back line, look out, Crepeau!
Omar Sachedina, CTV News, Toronto.
So much to look forward to in our city in the weeks to come. And yes, this weekend as well. This is your evening at a glance. Perhaps you're heading to the Tempo game, and conditions should cooperate for the journey in and out of Toronto. And yeah, for game time as well. Of course, that is indoors. Weekend forecast is shaping up to look like this. We've got a risk of thunderstorms on Saturday afternoon and early evening. But look at the improvement for Sunday. Great weather for celebrating Mom. And while we have been below seasonal and will be to start off next week, look what might happen by the end of next week. A bit of a warm-up just in time for the May long weekend. We'll take a look at your 7-day forecast after the break. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Happy Friday. We have glorious sunshine. The sky's looking so blue. The temperature, not bad at all. And look at Nathan Phillips Square behind us there. You heard seeing signs of FIFA. It's an exciting time in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots happening this weekend, and the sunshine helps. It almost makes it seem warmer than it actually is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's relative, right? It's been quite cool the last couple of days. So even, you know, just temperatures in the double digits for highs, even though they're not where we expect them to be still, An improvement goes a long way, and sunny skies help as well. This weekend is looking pretty decent overall, but we do have a risk of thunderstorms as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. Now, before we talk about weather improvements, let me take you to Elora, Ontario this morning. Your eyes are not deceiving you. That is snow on the ground. It happened earlier today, just north of Guelph, around Fergus as well. Likely didn't last too long. A big thank you to Kirk, who shared this video with us. But it is May. We are now more than 1 week into the month of May. This is not the kind of weather we want to see at this point in the season. It was pretty chilly here in Toronto as well. No snow, but the temperature was around 3 degrees. Now we've seen not only the cloud cover move out, but the sun is shining. Here's a look at your satellite and radar. Pretty nice looking afternoon for us. There is some wet weather impacting northern parts of Ontario over toward the city of Ottawa. But here in the south, we might see a bit of fair weather cloudiness start to develop in the afternoon, but this should be a mostly dry day for most communities here in southern Ontario. A couple of different lows that we're keeping an eye on. This one should stay to our south. This one, the cold front associated with it, it's a disturbance mainly impacting northern Ontario. But the cold front, as it slices through tomorrow, brings us a chance of some thunderstorms. So let me pause this as we make our way. That's about 3:30, so there's round 1 potentially. And then again around the dinner hour, 6 p.m. This is going to be a broken line of thunderstorms, so not everyone is going to be impacted the same way. But it is possible that we could hear rumbles of thunder, see flashes of lightning, get some heavy downpours, and then it moves on out, and then we dry out for your Sunday. Remember a couple of days ago when this was looking like an entirely cloudy day with showers? Now we look to enjoy sunshine for most of the day. Great news. Not a whole lot of rain expected for us, maybe 2 millimeters with those storms tomorrow. But of course, depending on where you are and depending on where those storms develop, that could greatly impact the rainfall totals before Saturday is finished. 14 degrees right now in Windsor, 11 degrees in Muskoka. We are still at 10 at Pearson Airport. Here's a look at tonight's forecast overnight lows. This is a little bit better. 5 is what we're anticipating. 8 degrees is the average low this time of year, but we will also enjoy clear skies. And then tomorrow morning, mix of sun and cloud to start. But again, it's the afternoon where we have that risk of storms. And even if we don't get thunderstorms, it's likely that many areas will see some showers. 15 degrees, that's not a bad temperature compared to what we've been experiencing lately. Slightly cooler than that for Sunday, but mix of sun and cloud for Mother's Day. Mother Nature now helping us out for that special occasion. Here's the 7-day forecast. Notice how we are quite dry through the early part of next week. Temperatures remain below seasonal for the first couple of days. But look at Thursday, a forecast daytime high of 18 degrees. That is seasonal. Looks like we are going to warm up to at least seasonal just in time for the May long weekend. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. The Blue Jays will be looking to snap a 4-game losing streak when they begin a series with the Los Angeles Angels tonight.
Lined into the gap in right center field, and that's going to get all the way to the wall.
The team's coming off a 3-0 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays Wednesday. They were only able to score a total of 4 runs as they got swept by the Rays in their 3-game series. The team will look for better results tonight when Dylan Cease takes them out against the Angels. First pitch is set for just after 7 at Rogers Center. And pitcher Max Scherzer is the latest Blue Jay to be highlighted in our hometown team series.
He's currently on the injured list, but he spoke about his time with the Jays so far and why his family loves Toronto.
I've been playing baseball my entire life. I mean, my earliest memories are hitting a wiffle ball with my dad in the basement, out in the backyard. I remember I fired my first strike. I'll never forget that feeling.
Max Scherzer has done it again.
I grew up in St. Louis, so I was a diehard Cardinals fan. And being a Cardinals fan at that point in time in the 90s, Ozzie Smith. You go to a game, you're not going to see him make a good play. You're going to get to see Ozzie make a great play. Right around the All-Star break last year, my thumb was killing me, really close to walking away from the game a couple times. I had a piano in my condo, and so I just wanted to teach the kids how to play the piano a little bit. And the effort to try to show them how to play the piano, I learned a couple songs. I walked away after that like, oh, my fingers, like, they're really sore. So I just kind of kept chasing it and playing more and more and more, and then all of a sudden my thumb pain was gone. That was my secret weapon. I had done every treatment, every cortisone shot, you name it, and this was the only thing that worked.
Scherzer pitching well.
Oh man, when Burke wrote that letter and we opened up and saw that tugged at all of our hearts, both my wife and I. And we kind of all had that same feeling. What she wrote, she just wrote it in the best way possible. The heartbreak of how 2025 ended, to wanting to be back with Toronto to continue to play here, to all the great things I do with my kids, going to the aquarium, going to CN Tower. She just was able to incorporate it in a way that touched everybody's heart.
When the province banned speed cameras last year, critics were concerned the move would lead to a rise in speeding.
Now, data from an Ottawa neighborhood shows it happened, with police saying the increase in speed can be the difference between life and death in a crash. CTV's Kimberly Fowler has the details.
You can always see speeders going by.
Scott McLaren's lives near Katimovic Road in Canada, where a speed camera used to nab drivers. Since it went dark, he says the change has been noticeable.
It's always been bad along here. I will say there's no stopping anymore at the stop sign up ahead, which I assume is linked to the speeding.
New data from the City of Ottawa supports that. It shows speeds are increasing in many areas that used to have cameras. Since the province banned them in November, the average speed increased 8 to 10 kilometers per hour at 7 of the 8 former photo radar locations in school zones. This is where one of the speed cameras was installed on Katimovic Road. All that remains is this pole. In October of 2025, the average speed clocked at this camera was 35 kilometers an hour. That jumped to 43 in April of this year.
A car going 40 kilometers an hour actually takes up to the lengths of 2 tennis courts to slow down. So it's not like you can stop on a dime.
Police also say that increase in speed could be the difference between a close call and a deadly crash.
Difference between 5 to 10 kilometers per hour can truly mean the difference to saving your life or saving the life of another driver.
The Ford government argued the cameras were a cash grab and shifted focus to other traffic calming measures like speed bumps and large signs.
Simply putting speed bumps in is not possible on 4-lane roads. Only being punitive will actually get people to slow down in front of the schools.
Residents like McLaren's also feel alternative measures won't make a difference.
Seems kind of like a waste. I don't see any further benefit to it. There's no revenue gain from that.
Kimberly Fowler, CTV News.
New data from Stats Canada shows the country's economy lost 18,000 jobs last month. The overall unemployment rate rose to 6.9%, while the national unemployment rate for youth between 15 and 24 increased to 14.3%. Meanwhile, Ontario added 42,000 jobs in April.
A new Nanos poll is outlining the impact inflation is having on young Canadians. Nanos research found 2/3 of young people say they are canceling major purchases and having a hard time affording necessities. Of the people surveyed, older Canadians were nearly twice as likely to report that inflation has not been a major problem for them. Overall, 14% of Canadians say they have had to cancel a major purchase due to inflation. That's up from 8% last year.
Still to come, there's a special pop-up in the city today for Billie Eilish. We'll have more on the limited edition merchandise when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
If you spot a long lineup in Liberty Village this weekend, there's a good chance it's for a special pop-up set up by music superstar Billie Eilish. Fans turned out early this morning to get a chance to be among the first to get into the merch shop. It's set up in connection with Billie Eilish's concert film hitting theaters today, which features performances from the Grammy winners' Kiss Me Hard and Soft tour, captured live in 3D and co-directed by Eilish and James Cameron. Fans say the long wait was worth it.
I'm wearing the Hit Me Hard and Soft jersey.
How exciting is that to get that jersey? I heard it's sold out.
Yeah, that's actually very exciting. I'm really, really happy that I could just like get a grasp on it. You know?
Every lyric to every song, I know it all.
And how long did you wait in line this morning?
I got here at 8:30 this morning because I came in on the GO train, public transit, woke up super early to make sure that I could be here and get the jersey that I wanted.
The Billie Eilish pop-up store is the only one in Canada, and it's open through Sunday.
As Paul McCartney prepares to release his next album, he's sharing another track, his first ever duet with fellow Beatle Ringo Starr. The song is called Home to Us, and the lyrics reflect on some of the rougher elements of the two singers' childhoods in Liverpool, as well as their continued love for their hometown. It appears on McCartney's upcoming album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane, named after a place close to where he grew up. Now, it drops May 29th.
The London Zoo is paying tribute to Sir David Attenborough for his 100th birthday.
For most conservationists, his films feature heavily in our reasons for choosing this career. But he helped really open people's eyes to a diversity of life that they may not have been aware of, from the tiniest ants to the largest whales.
Attenborough was born May 8th, 1926. The conservationist and broadcaster is best known for the Planet Earth and Blue Planet series for the BBC, which document the natural world.
Coming up, preparing for the big show. More than 100 Indigenous youth from across the country are set to hit the stage for 2 performances later this month. More than 100 Indigenous youth from across Canada are preparing for a major performance in Toronto.
They're part of Outside Looking In, a national program using dance to help students build confidence and create connections. CTV Spencer Turcott has more.
Inside a barn loft at Tim Hortons Foundation Camp in Brant County, the beat of the music bringing together Indigenous youth from every corner of the country. For months, these dancers trained in their home communities. Now, 11 First Nation and Inuit communities are finally meeting face to face, preparing for a massive live performance in Toronto.
It's really cultivating as a culture in dance to combine hip-hop and Indigenous culture together.
Many of the youth say the Indigenous-led organization Outside Looking In has provided a powerful outlet.
I have struggled a lot with my own self-esteem. I find that dancing helped me release all that energy.
Outside Looking In provides students from grades 7 through 12 with the opportunity to spend the school year training in dance while also earning high school credits.
You see them going from giving you 1-word and 2-word answers to questions or not answering at all to standing in front of a stage and commanding an audience's attention.
For many, just getting here was a journey.
First, we flew from Cairns to Winnipeg, and we took a 2-hour flight to Toronto.
Wow.
Yeah, and then 2-hour bus ride here.
Others battled multiple flight cancellations caused by Arctic weather. But once rehearsals begin, the exhaustion and nerves disappear.
Before I started this program, I didn't think I would be able to dance in front of a lot of people. And since I've been doing this for 2 years now, I feel like I do that pretty well.
The choreography blends hip-hop, contemporary dance, and Indigenous cultural elements, creating a performance the students say reflects both identity and resilience.
It gives me a chance to let the people of Canada know that my people are still here, that we are still standing strong.
After a week of rehearsals here in Brant County, the dancers will take the stage inside Toronto's St. Lawrence Centre for the Arts on May 15th for 2 shows. For the young performers, the showcase is a chance to be seen, heard, and celebrated.
There are some things that just can't be said. It needs to be shown.
Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Brant County.
That looks great, doesn't it?
That is so beautiful. Lovely to see what an impact dance have. And we actually have a resident dancer here. Lindsay is amazing.
Well, I'm long since retired from my dancing days, but of course, I'll always join in whenever there's an opportunity. Let's talk one more time about the weather, not just for today, but through the weekend. Lots going on. I know so many people have important plans, so let's help you out a little bit. This is a look at the satellite and radar. It is a really lovely early part of the afternoon. Do expect that there will be a few clouds starting to develop. Not saying it's going to be a cloudy afternoon, but a mix of sun and cloud will be happening. Today looks to be a drier day than the last couple. Can't rule out the possibility of an isolated shower here and there, but most areas are going to remain dry for today. Tomorrow, jumping ahead, tomorrow afternoon, we see the sun disappear in the wake of a cold front, and that could bring us some thunderstorms, at the very least some scattered showers. This is going to be a broken line of thunderstorms, maybe some pockets of severe weather, but for the most part, perhaps a little bit of thunder, lightning, and sudden heavy downpours. Looking ahead to Sunday morning, of course, it's Mother's Day, but there's also the Sporting Life 10K happening in the morning. Conditions look good. Sunshine, temperatures are a little cool still for this time of year, but not freezing temperatures. Not expecting frost advisories, at least for the early part of the weekend. There are a couple of chilly overnight lows again as we make our way into the early days of next week. However, we do see temperatures start to climb as the week goes on, and it's looking good by about Friday of next week for us to feel at the very least seasonal. But yes, overall this is a drier and slightly warmer 7-day forecast than we had before. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms watching at home. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that is it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.